guys out there in YouTube. Yes, it's me, Dualranger, coming to you after I voted. One of the things I wanted to say was a kind of introduction, synopsis, and a few things I wanted to cover in this video. One is I want to add on the bit of the video I should have added on to the last one but didn't. But I also wanted to cover some of the events in the world. I know I'm in a bit of a current affairs mood at the moment that have really kind of made me go ooh, and get all excited. You know how you do. Well, one of the great things is we've actually been able to study rooks, wild rooks. Christopher Bird and Nathan Emery have basically they've done a study, and they've discovered that rooks that have never used tools in the wild can learn to use them and even make them in laboratory conditions. Now the basic task was to recover a worm, a wax worm, that was placed on like an out of reach platform that could be brought within reach by like dropping a stone or pushing a stick down the tube. Now the first experiment they are placed with this apparatus and just left to get on with it. Now not all of them kind of got on with it and did it, but there was 4 and they figured out, and then there were basically these 4 were tested with more sophisticated methods. Now there were a various number of tests. There was varying the tube sizes which the birds worked out. You know, they worked out one tube was smaller, one stone was bigger. And they basically were able to do this when some of the stones and things were moved into different positions. They were also able to figure out different ways of using the stick and the stones. Even when they were presented with both stick stones, they picked the right apparatus to use. Through trial and error, with certain situations, given like sticks too short, they chose stones. They were even able to use stones of the wrong size to open, you know, to get stones of the right size, and also able to prune like twigs off a stick and bits of a stick to make it the right size. And they were also able to bend a piece of wire to make a hook to retrieve a bucket containing these worms. Now the great thing about this is the last 2, which are basically stick modification and hook making, were equivalent to chimpanzees. Now there are Caledonian crows that manage the hook making trick, you know, making hooks and getting stuff. Now wild rooks are pretty cool in this fashion because they don't do this in the wild. They're pretty much, you know, they don't actually do this. Now there are many fairies like wild rooks don't need to use tools, so just don't bother. But the great thing about this is we've seen them do this. Now the significance of this is still, you know, it's still up in the air, but it's really interesting. I mean, like the fact we've seen rooks use tools when they haven't been able to. And this is an instinctive thing because they instinctively don't, but given the opportunity and the option to, or the necessity to use tools to gain food, they are able to figure out basic tool tasks. So, and I think that's really cool. I thought I'd introduce this part because otherwise it makes very little sense. So it was a little bit of a ramble through my thought process yesterday. Maybe it's a look into the soul of a tired Dualranger, but it kind of came about when I watched the YouTube video of someone I'm not going to name because I really don't want to give him any push or any fame. Now this guy basically proclaimed that atheism was very similar to cannibalism, and it kind of got me thinking and it got me venting a little bit. So be aware, this isn't really very fluid, but I kind of kept it all together, so it's got my like ending attached to it. So be aware it's not perfect, and it probably won't. The ending won't make any sense to anyone, but I get around and I get to a few interesting points. I, it's very interesting for numerous different reasons. Anyway, enough of me talking about it. I mean, some things that I've seen out there on YouTube, and most people would agree with me, has been ridiculous. Like, there is a certain YouTube Christian pastor who is equating atheism with cannibalism, and it's just the arguments that he suggests and draws up are just they're really, for me, they're arguments made from someone who lives in the Western world and never has been in the situation to decide. It's like well, unless you've ever been in a situation, and I've never been in a situation where I'm so hungry, I'm so craving hunger that I would eat another human being, and it just mystifies me that, for example, people die of starvation in places like Africa. And these people they aren't Christians. These people are just hungry people who died, and they didn't resort to eating people. So if that's like the definition, I mean, it's just weird. It's like a definition that if you could ever presume that you'd be in that example, like what? It's crazy. It's a crazy point. It just doesn't actually make any real sense in a modern day, or even a Stone Age, Bronze Age society. Whoa, I'm really hungry. I think I will eat you, because eating you means that I survive for a little bit longer. Maybe if two people stay alive in that example, the two people would find a way out. I mean, it's like, or you need the need for company might overcome your desire for eating, or to even contemplate that scenario, you would have to think of a scenario so ridiculous that it beggars belief. It'd be like you have to put them in a situation where there's no other available food source, no available means of communicating. I mean, people have survived on toothpaste rather than eat each other. And then you had situations where there's a plane crash and there was that happened. I mean, do I look at it and say they were immoral for doing that? I mean, it's like the thou shalt not kill. Well, if someone was going to kill me, if someone was sitting with a gun pointed at me, willing to kill me, would I be willing to kill? And I think in that situation, I would, if it was self-preservation. But then we label it survival. So we label these things, and especially with, I mean, you see Christians with guns. I'm going to protect things that come on my land. If some, well, one of the commandments is thou shalt not kill. Yet a Christian will kill. Now, the reason I make this significant point is, as an atheist, I'm already seen as immoral and godless and so on and so forth. So I haven't got like a standard to hold up to, because essentially atheism is the non-belief of in a god. Or the non-acceptance of a god, or but essentially it's a non-position. It doesn't. Being an atheist doesn't point any of my other beliefs. Whereas being a Christian is a very firm declaration that you have a belief structure and what it is. So when someone who has a belief structure and is very firm about what it is deviates from that, then that plays more into question than someone whose only belief structure in this context of discussion is, I don't believe there's a supernatural entity. Like, I don't believe in Zeus, I don't believe in Yahweh, and so from that point, it's silly for a Christian to go, well, you are immoral. But the question of someone being immoral doesn't bear into it, because the whole point is, you as a Christian are meant to be moral. You're meant to follow the edicts. Anyway, that's me. This is probably a long ramble. So, I didn't actually mean to tack this on the end of it, but I thought it just kind of came naturally and flowed to me. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This is Dualranger saying thank you for watching, and have a safe journey wherever you're headed.